Mm.
Right, well, welcome back to part 2 of episode 78 of the Malt Travel podcast, and this ain't Texas, this is Rochdale. So we have we beguiled you in part 1 with the architectural beauty of Rochdale. And we had just about got ourselves, well, we had 1 pint in part 1. We just managed to get a pint in the wonderful Flying Horse. And then we'd moved on to the Regal Moon, which is the old cinema right in the centre of Rochdale. A stunning, what would you call it, Nick? Is that an Art Deco type building? I think you refer to it, isn't it? Probably 19.
Yeah, not quite.
Yeah, it's got that
like,
kind of glass.
It's like Moscow inspired utility. Probably turn of the century, 20th century, 1910, 1920, coming out of the First World War. And
yeah. So it's typical kind of cinema type Wetherspoons, without maybe some of the pomp that you get in places like Llandudno and a place like that. But very nice. But I say it was a big old place, and it was pretty full. There were some interesting people out the front, weren't they, as we wandered in there? So I guess
she was enjoying herself, wasn't she, on her own? And then
cultural ambassadors.
She was having so much of a good time that she came through back, didn't she?
It was a bit dark and dingy inside, wasn't it? So we actually ended up...
It was actually trouble, isn't it? Yeah. I've only been on a weekday, and it seemed a lot nicer on the weekdays than it did on the weekend after. It felt very claustrophobic and dark anchor the weekend.
But as you can see, it was a wonderful day, the blue sky. So actually we went all the way through, and actually there's quite a nice seating area, isn't there, around the back there?
Yeah.
It was quite quiet actually at the back, and it's not, again, quite a different seating area for Wetherspoons really. And we made another recording. Right, we're currently on pint number 2. We're sat outside the back of the Regal Moon in Rochdale, which is a little bit less salubrious than sat outside the Flying Horse a minute ago. The weather is still glorious. Nicholas is moaning about getting served in Wetherspoons. We're just having a moan about queuing. So, gents, we had a really good kick-off, didn't we? Flying Horse was excellent. 12 cask ales, sat out in the sun, £3.10 a pint.
£3.10 for the Lancashire best bitter. Brewery.
Very, very nice.
Classic Lancashire, classic bitter.
I would say there was a good range on in here in the Wetherspoons Regal Moon, which is the old cinema in Rochdale. £2.64 a pint, I think, was most of the beers in there.
£2.68. Just on the back end of the beer festival. So we've all got the beer festival beers, and then they had about another 6 of the normal.
That's really nice. That's Adnams Brown Ale. Delicious.
So, Bruce on Adnams Brown Ale. I'm on a Woodford mild, dark mild. And Nicholas is on a...
And I'm a London Revolution Brewery.
So we've all gone a little bit...
That's very nice. That's
a little bit southern on our beer choices, but that's what the festival's all about.
It's quite nice.
But I looked at it and thought...
No, it's quite nice.
It was taking a long time to settle, then all of a sudden it just started to bubble a little bit.
We've just been entertained by the local dust heads who seem to have moved on now after giving us an impromptu dance outside the front. We have just said that if you come down to, this is called the Butts in Rochdale, which is kind of where the tram drops you off, there must be 6-7 bars within 100 yards of each other. So we could probably have had a pub crawl around this area. There are some nice murals to our right, which I will share on our Facebook pages, YouTube pages. Interesting murals. So yeah, we're off to the Balm next, which is where the cooperative society was born. So that's, I think, the next one on our list. And then we might be heading out then to the Cemetery Hotel, and then we'll come back into town, tick up a couple of the micros, and then possibly head up to Hidden Sam Smith. But we need to go and investigate, don't we?
And the Manchester Tart, please.
And Bruce wants to go to the market to get Manchester Tart, despite just having a huge breakfast.
She's called Cheryl.
So we'll keep you posted. It's still a very, very nice day. It's got a little bit busier now in Rochdale than it was earlier on. We'll keep you informed of our next visit. So I would say, in terms of beer standard, it was probably a silver for Wetherspoons. There were not bad pints. I say cracking prices and a cracking choice as well. So actually, all good. Just to go back, the Lancashire Best Bitter was by the Pictish Brewing Company, which we did start to see lots of, didn't we? Because they're a local Rochdale based. So Pictish Brewing, which is a funny name, really. You'd probably think it was Scottish. Anyway, we will say their Lancashire bitter was pretty much spot on. So we left the Regal. We then found out that eventually the market was shut, as it was Eid this weekend. And unfortunately, Bruce's Manchester Tarts shop had also got off and changed to some kind of chain pasty shop or something, hadn't it? So you were very upset. And to add to the down depression, we found that the wonderful Roebuck, Sam Smith's pub, as you can see if you're on YouTube, in Sam Smith's smashing was all boarded up with an interesting blue pack going back to 1814, where some old bloke took his cork leg off after the Battle of Waterloo. But unfortunately, it didn't look like a lot of life in there. Shame, because it was an interesting little pub, didn't it?
Yeah, it did.
We mentioned the murals. Again, if you're on YouTube, you can see the murals from the back of Wetherspoons. And apparently there's a little bit of a feature in Rochdale that you can actually walk around and see all the murals as well. On the way to our next pub, we did also walk past the pint pot. And in fact, the landlord was sat outside enjoying the sun and gave us some beery banter. And we did promise that we'll be back later on. So we'll come back to that one. But probably about, 6-7 minute walk. Took us to one of the highlights, I think, of the day. And this is the Baum pub, or the Baum pub, which is just on the outskirts. But as I mentioned in that little clip there, this is is part of the Toad Lane, which is where the first ever cooperative society in the world was formed back in the early 1800s, I think it was. And next to the Baum is the current museum. There's an old bit and a new bit. It looked pretty dead actually there. But anyway, the pub itself, I think, Bruce, you've been here before. You'd kind of given us a little bit an appetizer, and it was cracking. It was a great pub. It was, it wasn't say it was busy, but there was a few folk in there. People making I would say they were kind of making to go there, weren't there? People who were popping in on purpose to go there, doing some food. Again, a fantastic array of beers. I can't remember if I put the beer range up there. No, I haven't. But yeah, really good. So I really enjoyed that. We got a lovely window seat, didn't we? And again, great beer. All good. What do you think, guys?
Yeah, I'd probably totally highlight if you're going to Rochdale. It's a must-see. It's the nicest bit of Rochdale, I thought, little Toad Lane bit. But the beer's always great. I think the food's quite splendid as well, not too dear. They always do a rag pudding, which they're very famous on Rochdale and Oldham as well. I think Nick thought some of the sounds reproductions, but nevertheless, there's a great atmosphere in there. It's a beer splashing, proper down-to-earth people in there, aren't they? Really nice stuff, not too dear. Probably the best pub of the day. I did like the cemetery, but I think this is probably the best pub of the day for me.
Nick?
Yeah, I like the area. There's I don't know whether you call it a garden, but out the back as well, they have a courtyard area where there's plenty of seating. So on this occasion, we decided to sit inside because it was quite atmospheric. But once again, we could have taken advantage of the weather and sat through the back. But yeah, nice little area of Rochdale. It's not too far from the town centre.
No, not too, just on the edge, wasn't it? And again, we did the recording, so let's play that recording. Right, well, we've moved on to the Baum now, and we've sat there's some very nice pints, or Hark and Bruce's case, in the window. It's a little bit quiet for a Saturday lunchtime, but it's very, very, very good array of beers on, and very nice surroundings. Sun's still shining. Bruce is particularly taken by this pub. Nicholas, your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, it's all right. Do we know why it's called the Baum? And it's a picture of the tree on the...
Well, that's German for tree.
Yeah.
And it's something to do with the church, I understand. This area was called the Baum, and it's got something to do with the church. And there were a couple of tales that I did pick up about the church as well.
Centuries past, did they have German refugees?
No, apparently it's not. It's older than that. I think it's...
that's what I mean. Going back 18th, 19th
going
century.
Back to Anglo-Saxon. This area was called the Baum area.
Yeah, there is an important part of the street. I've forgotten that. We should do that chapel.
Well, this is Toad Street.
Toad Lane.
Toad Lane.
Because we're next to the Cooperative Pioneers building.
Yeah.
So there is a tale about toads as well, which I did read, but we'll pick it up and put it in the podcast when we need to.
So it's nice,
very nice, isn't it? Nice.
Traditional. Lots of memorabilia signs on the wall. Some are original, some aren't. I would rather than just stick to the original ones rather than put the pseudo ones up. But
But it's very well lit on a dark night. But it's very atmospheric on a dark night.
Good selection of beers on again.
Are there any fires, Bruce? Have you seen any fires?
No
No fires.
I'm seeing some nasty little modern little heater thing. So.
All right, and there's a nice patio around the back and cobbles out the front.
What's
very
it
nice.
Has it always been a pub? Because the frontage almost looks like it was a shop at one point.
No, it was the shop, apparently.
With these bay
It was
windows.
part of the co-op shop,
Yeah. So it's converted.
That there, Manchester Tarts dream is disappearing rapidly.
Yes, we've had a false walk to the indoor market because of Eid this weekend, so the market is not open this weekend. So Bruce has not had able to get his tarts, and Crawshaws have taken over.
Yeah.
Sorry, Van, you'll get
the tart shop.
Cheryl's gone elsewhere, the Manchester Tarts.
So the plan next is to move on to the cemetery, just a little bit before the football crowd arrive.
Reportedly Rochdale's best pub, in many people's opinion. Yeah.
And apparently in the Camera Heritage Guide as well. So
It is, yeah.
Looking forward to that one. So we'll keep you posted. Okay, yeah. So the Baum, it's St Mary's and the Baum. I think it's a church across the road, and this area is called the Baum. So yeah, very nice. You get a quick glimpse. I think is it the Six Sisters in Rochdale, which are the tower blocks, which I think you can even see from the M62. Which again, another maybe not quite as salubrious whatever the cityscape. So a great pub, definitely worth a visit if you're in Rochdale. Probably about 6-7 minute walk. So this is a bit further out. This one, this is actually up towards getting up the hill and towards the football ground. And we'd all kind of picked this one out. And this was the Cemetery Hotel. Bruce, was this your first visit to the cemetery?
It is, yes. It's a one pub I've not been to that always gets great reviews. And deserves our thing. I thought it was a fantastic pub. Yeah, I thought it was great.
So this is a little bit up out of the way, but it's again it was quite busy. It's a multi-room pub, which is very, very traditional, and they've kept it, which is great. And we got in the front room there, which had a wonderful bread oven. Unfortunately, looked like it wasn't being used. Most of the folk were sat in the bar, weren't they, Nick? That bar was really, really busy.
The drinking corridor areas they call it.
There was a large room on the left, which again was very, very quiet, but lots of very nice tiling. Nicholas got a lovely picture of the tiles as he walked in. Again, they mainly featured these Pictish beers from the local brewery. The rooms are all numbered, aren't they? I think we were in room number 2, weren't we? Because the rooms are all numbered, and some interesting decor on the wall, which we didn't quite take, but it was all right. Again, some interesting. I think was it. Braised beef and chili was the pie of the day, but they'd sold out by the time we got there. But as you can see, what they did do was, and in fact, quite a few pubs have seemed to stop doing this. They did do the thirds. So I think, Nick, we had a little bit of a flight, didn't we, of some of those Pictish beers that you can see there on the thing. And as you can see there, they were just loading up the Guinness Zeros, as you can see in the background if you're on YouTube. But yeah, really, again, worth picking out. Again, it'd be quite nice. I mean, well, the fires were probably not lit, but again, I think on an evening it'd be quite atmospheric. Obviously, it is next to the big Rochdale Cemetery, so it's a bit atmospheric as well. So yeah, all right, yeah. Nick, your thoughts?
Yeah, it reminded me a bit of the spot in Durham, Bruce, just being on that corner there.
The Victoria.
Yeah, and there was a similar one in Sheffield that used to go down by Leadmill. If you sit in that end little room there, it's always a weird shaped room. We didn't. We went in the opposite side. But yeah, worth the journey out there.
Journey out, yeah.
Ticking over nicely as a real little pub.
And again, we did a recording, so let's listen to that one. Victorian-looking cemetery. So Nicholas and I are currently on flights of Pictish ales. So we have got a golden beer there and a couple of their different pale ales.
So they all look very similar. We'd maybe hope for them to be like a dark, a medium, and a light one, but they all have a different type style and flavour to them. I suppose you could say they were classic.
These are what, £4.50? What was it?
Yeah, £4.50. So classic
like
spring beers.
Yeah.
With it being such a lovely day outside, then we suit it. If it was a cold, horrible, wet day, then maybe we would be wanting to nurse something a bit darker and a bit more robust and fruity.
It's a pretty fantastic pub, though, isn't it? It's a 3-room pub with a central area.
It's quite eclectic. I'm looking at a Father Christmas on the bar through the door hole here. As Nick mentioned before, all the rooms here are numbered, so we're in room number 1. So it is nice to find a pub which hasn't been knocked through. So it still has got, I think, 4 separate rooms. We've got the front room to ourselves with a very nice range although it looks very.
It doesn't fit in.
A while since it was last fired up.
Well, it will never be fired up because there's not half it.
We've got pie of the week, which unfortunately sold out, was brisket and jalapeno, which is interesting. We've got the football on the screen,
Well, to
which
be fair,
is not overpowering.
They've achieved that the perfect balance of being a traditional pub with great ales, but able to show the sport without it infringing on everybody's enjoyment. That's hard to do. I think
this is the pub, or one of the best pubs nearest to the football ground at Scotland, so it's not quite filling up yet with football fans because Rochdale are at home later on, although because they are currently neck and neck with our York City, the top of the National League. So yeah, interesting pub, definitely worth coming up the hill.
The seating is very traditional, and also the heating system, those big fat water pipes and things also. On a cold winter's night, you would imagine it's going to be nice and snug and cosy in here.
It'd be a long walk out of town, but it was only £4 each for the Uber, wasn't it?
A long walk to you, bro, is like a little. It's a 10-minute jaunt for us. So
It was a long walk.
half an hour it was saying in Google Maps from the railway station to the pub here.
So it's about 1:30, so we are, or 1:45 now actually, so we're probably going to head back into town after this. We might look at visiting the Two Mules Brewery tap, which is I think in between us and the city centre. We've already identified 3 little micros. We had a pint pot with a very nice young man who had a quick chat with us outside, didn't we? And tried to coax us in, so we said we were going to the cemetery, so he kind of nodded and went, yeah. And then there's our Graces, which is near the tram stop, and also the Lucky Duck, which is, if nothing else, just an interesting micro to go in.
And the Sam Smith pub.
And then the Sam Smith's pub. Well, I've not seen the Sam Smith's pub.
No, we've tried to go to the Sam Smith pub road, but it's all boarded up.
Unfortunately, it's all boarded up and closed, yeah. So we'll match a little bit of research on that one and find out kind of where it's up. So yeah, Nick, we were talking last time about the barn. So we came out and we actually looked at the church, the St Mary's and the barn. And apparently there was I said there was a story. It was apparently a white barn rabbit which used to haunt the area back in the days. But anyway,
A tree rabbit.
I don't know.
Is that a squirrel?
Tree rabbit, possibly. Yes.
An
Anyway.
albino squirrel.
There we go. So we're going to savour these, and then we're going to head back down the hill. So
Not sure about the wallpaper in here, guys.
It's wine boxes, isn't it? By the looks of it, or fake wine boxes.
Doesn't really fit with the Edwardian.
Anyway, we will check in again shortly. So I think 3 or 4 pints in, we were still quite nuanced there. So very good. So we did actually make Bruce do a little bit of a walk. So we'd actually said, you know what, it's a lovely afternoon. So we worked out that the Twisted Mule Brewery was about 5-10 minute walk down the hill, turning left out the pub. Right out the pub, and down the edge of the cemetery. Quite a pleasant little walk down. And
that's the sports field, and they were playing. What were they playing? They were playing
lacrosse, weren't they? Lacrosse.
Unusual for Rochdale, yeah.
And then we could see the brewery looming up, or not the brewery, the mill looming up before us. And actually, we got there. There are actually 2 venues here because there's also a kind of a winey, cocktaily bar next door. But we were heading to the Twisted Mill Brewery, and this was interesting because it was a kind of a bar of 2 halves. Because when we arrived there, it was full of Tamworth and Rochdale football fans because they were going off Spotfield up the road, to Spotland up the road. So obviously it's a great stop off for them. Very friendly, great that it's National League football. So there's no away pubs or home pubs. Everybody was mixed together, a bit of good banter. Merely drinking bottles of lager, I would say, and pints of lager. A very, very busy bar. In a lovely heritage building. In fact, we were so busy we got the bar, and then we came out and we actually sat we stood in the courtyard there, which I don't know. I would think legally we're not supposed to because there were no seats or anything worthy, but there was a couple of barrels. But yeah, it was good. The beer was good. It was obviously from the brewery. The brewery's on site, and again,
great prices for a brewery tap room. Yeah, great prices.
And I would say again, I think Nick, a couple of these are your photos, which kind of looked at the building. I think this is probably my favourite of the day. I like a bit of heritage, and again, it was all good, wasn't it? Really, good beer.
Yeah, well, nice the Tamworth fans were very, very friendly. Yeah. They were happy to engage and have a bit of banter.
Red Army.
Yeah. Sadly, they couldn't get any points off Rochdale though, because that would have been great. Yeah.
Nick, your thoughts on this brewery tap?
Yeah, well, of course, I always seem to have the kitty, and therefore it's always me stood at the bar. So yeah, while you two have got time to kick back and relax and have a little chat, and yeah, I'm still waiting stood at the bar, and sometimes it can be a chore, and sometimes
you're the youngest. You're the youngest. That's why you.
What's it? I think that's the thing with the whole of the visit in Rochdale, that we it was a diversity of places where we went from traditional pubs to repurposed buildings that have their own history and heritage, and then obviously the micro bars as well that were basically utilising empty retail spaces that will probably never be retail spaces again, but the actual cost of running a retail space is a lot cheaper than a traditional pub, and so it means that the guys and girls taking over those places are keeping the rail ale scene alive in places like Rochdale.
Well, good. So we jumped in another Uber and we went back into town. And we say we must go back to the Pint Pot, which is kind of on the quite a little back street from the kind of back rear of Wetherspoons up to the market. And actually, we then found out this actually is a Twisted Mule bar as well. So I think it sometimes badges itself as a independent, but from what I understand, this and the two bars down the little tunnel next door, which we'll come to in a minute, Bull's Yard, are all part of the same kind of chain, and they all tend to focus Twisted Mule Brewery. Yeah. This was a nice little place. We've got to say that the beer wasn't great, was it? It was all right, and I don't know, but yeah, it was okay. Definitely worth. Interesting little building. Again, typical kind of micro, bit of a mismatch inside. Some quite nice pictures on the wall, wasn't there?
Yeah, there was. And apparently you get homemade strawberry. It's sadly available to try. They're very reasonable. Nice to support a little business like that, yeah.
We didn't spend long there. And I said, if you then turn left out of that pub, there is a very interesting little tunnel, which we went down. It's called the Bull Bro. And there are another two bars, which we didn't actually venture in because they looked a bit dark and slumbers. But actually, we missed out here because when I've looked at them, they look absolutely fantastic. So on one side, there's the Bull on the Brow, which is a European beer cellar. And on the other side is the Cola di Lavino, which is kind of a wine bar. But they both sell Twisted Mule beers. And they're both subterranean little caves. So again, we've definitely got to go and see them the next time we are. But again, so within, again, probably 20 yards, there are 3 bars here, and apparently, from what I understand, they're all owned together. They're all part of the same, whatever, establishment or chain or whatever. So we then went back into the Butts.
If you just go back there again, Mike. I don't think that I recall seeing it, but the tunnel there.
Yeah,
it's an advert for White and McKay whiskey, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it says drink whiskey.
Yeah.
And I can't think that I ever noticed that when we were there, but with the photographs, I realised I'll look after the photograph afterwards. Be interested to know how long.
Oh no, it says ask for white line.
I thought it was White and McKay whiskey
there, but no, it says ask for white something there, doesn't it? Anyway, we then moved on to the Butts and to, again, I would say a definite must. Our Graces doesn't look that appetising from the front of it, being I presume, an old shop. But inside, fantastic. Loads of vinyl. Really nice. Wasn't there? Again, good range of beers. We managed to get a window seat. Very, very nice.
That great sandwich board outside as well. Real discount scheme.
You can't really miss it, can you? So definitely, that was definitely worth a visit. And then literally across the road, past our friend shouting, this ain't Texas Rochdale, is the Lucky Duck. And this was quite an interesting experience. So we walked in there. It was all right. It was probably, maybe a little bit of anticlimax. Very interesting work with the bar. So the young lady behind the bar wouldn't serve anybody. She just rang a bell. And every time she rang a bell, a little bloke ran down from upstairs and served people, and then went back upstairs. And we couldn't really work out what was going on. In fact, another customer said to her, "Are you not 18?" He goes, "Oh, yeah, I'm 23, but I don't work here. I just let the bloke know that people want drinking." And I think, Nick, you went upstairs first of all. This guy's just playing pool. He's not. We thought there was another bar upstairs or something on. He's just playing pool. Yeah. Every time this bell rang, he ran downstairs, pulled some beers, ran back upstairs, and carried his game of pool on. Very bizarre. We got talking to a inebriated Glaswegian in here, which we again managed to just about extricate ourselves from. But he was all good. It was all good. Again, stunning place to drink beer, isn't it? Because he had a fantastic view of everything. So Really good. Yeah.
I mean, our Grace was they created a lovely atmosphere. I mean, because all these microbars converted shops, you have to say that our Grace is absolutely fantastically, because they can be a bit, at least they mishmash of styles.
Yeah.
It was just, I thought it created quite lovely in there.
Quick thoughts, Nick, on these two?
Yeah, they're fine. Yeah. I mean, I thought out of everywhere, I thought our Grace's was, I don't know. I would say it's a bit disappointing, but I suppose by this time of the day, in fact, I think I worked out, I think we'd had 9 pints, or I'd had 9 pints by the end of the session. So maybe my memory had been lapsing a little bit here. I think it was a really good shout to have that breakfast, because if you think about it as well, guys, we didn't actually have anything to eat. We had that breakfast in the morning, and we didn't have anything else to eat until the rest of the day.
You're right.
So I think we did pretty well, really. And then, of course, the last pub, you two guys left me hanging at the bar. You two went on 2 halves of bloody lager, and I'd ordered a pint of Old Brewery bitter. So I was actually, I think, half a pint up on you guys by the end of Rochdale.
And this was a shock, I have to say. Our last pub, which I think I can't. I think it's possibly the roughest pub I've ever been in my life. Certainly a contender. I can't ever recall going anywhere. I don't think quite.
So this is one of the outlying Sam Smiths. Apparently, there's about 3 or 4 Sam Smiths in this very area, and they're all quite similar. So this was the Nelson, which is the Sam Smith's pub. And Bruce was very keen that we went in there. I will say we didn't stay very long in there. And in fact, mine has told me we're quite lucky to get out alive. So that's all we'll say, I think, about this. We couldn't take any photos or do any recording in there, but I wouldn't bother. To say that one room had a smashed up table and a smashed up chair. That's all there was. Big room on the right hand side there. And that's all there was. An empty room with a table and a smashed up.
Well, I was going to say, I assume they have a fire in there, but I think they burnt most of the furniture on the fire.
Yeah. I mean, it was just the juxtaposition between this, and you think a place like the Princess Louise, and you think, why? Why is he keeping this open?
Anyway,
make any money.
So it was an entertaining end to the day, and then from there we wandered up to the station, and I went west, and these guys went east. So, but all in all, a great day in Rochdale. Definitely worth a visit. I think, as Nick said, there great variety. There's something for everybody, really. And there were probably another 2 or 3 pubs that we could have probably got into, but all good. Right, I'm conscious that we're running out of time very quickly. I'm heading up to Yorkshire this weekend, so I certainly will be able to probably meet up with Nick. I think, Bruce, unfortunately, you're having to work this busy bank holiday. What a shame. The one day that you do a week at the moment, whatever it is. So I'm hoping that Nick might have a chance to nip into Brasscastle tomorrow, and possibly up to the Pizza on the Square, Bruce's favourite pub name, and then up to Royal Oak. And I know we are hopefully going to Westow, the Blacksmith's House, one of our haunts we've mentioned a few times as our first drinking venues, wasn't it, Bruce? With a wonderful landlady who would sell as much halves of cider as you could drink. Didn't think it was alcoholic. Anyway, that's another story. So it's obviously the Easter holidays coming up. So I said we'll hopefully get together and have a couple of beers, and then we will pick up probably sometime later in April. We haven't got any more trips planned. We have talked about a trip down to Lewes and to visit Harvey's. We have a couple of potential brewery in my Brewery Society hat on. There's a couple of brewery trips which I might do beforehand just to tap up Miles, the head brewer at Harvey's. There was a quite a cheap Premier Inn in Lewes I have looked at. The idea is we could go down, meet up in London, head down to Brighton. The Lewes Brewery tours are weirdly at 6 p.m. every night. I suppose it's good anyway, 6 till 8. So we're looking at maybe a Thursday, Friday, sometime around probably early July, which is when we went on our Aberdeen trip last year. So that's the plans. Gents, anything else you want a quick report as we've got about a minute left?
No, not really. That was very entertaining. Yes.
Bruce yawning himself to death almost. So without further ado, I will play the funky music. Have a wonderful Easter, everybody, and check out Rochdale, Town Hall, and I would say Twisted Mule Brewery.